Easy E, how are we?
Shawnee, it's happening again.
What? What's happening again?
I've got I've got the bike in pieces in front of me here.
Uh-oh.
I've had
Did
to
you
go
get a
buy a
bit of rage with the bike like you would during the
no,
Ironman thrown
no,
into a
no, I
wall
wouldn't
or
mind. I wouldn't mind if I'd been cycling it more than I have. And I think I'm gonna regret this decision as well. But the bike is being packed up and it's
Oh,
coming with me. I'm moving, Sean.
you're moving again.
I'm
You
going
lived
to
a life
I'm
like
going to Doha. So I'll be in
Doha.
Qatar. Yeah. See, Monroe, who listens to the podcast, he was living in Dubai. He went back to Ireland, and I'm so brokenhearted now. I have to leave Dubai altogether. No, I've taken a job in Doha. And finally, after months and months of waiting, it's the start date arrives. So they ring me on Thursday, Sean. They say you're on the flight on Sunday night. And needless to say, of all the times they could have given me over the last month or so to get things ready, like the mountain of paperwork and this, that, and the other I have to do and pack.
It
So
always
yeah,
happens to
it's
one go. But like your
always
first thing
everything always
was
comes at the
not
same.
pack the suitcase, not pack the clothes, stuff like that. It was a bike. I need to dismantle that first.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, the bike is
Priorities.
priorities. So like, but then I'm looking at it like it's coming into the summer. It's like it's gonna be 50 odd degrees, and then I'm looking at the turbo trainer going, oh. I'm not going to lug that again, am I? So I'm in two minds. I'm in two minds of what's about to happen. But I'd imagine I'll probably just stick it out and do really nasty, sweaty nighttime cycles rather than lug this turbo trainer, and then maybe see how I go on the second round. So I'll be doing kind of 6, 8 weeks of flying, and then I'll come back to Dubai for a bit of respite and pick up my turbo trainer maybe on the second run or whatever. But yeah, it's scary. It
I'd
is
say
scary.
so. I'd say,
Yeah.
but for your first time, for visiting the place for the first time, I suppose a great way to see it is hop on that bike and around you go. Not too sure
Yeah.
about the heat now, but
Yeah, it's gonna be an unusual experience, but like it's all brand new. It's all getting the like at this we're recording on a Friday. This is the Sunday scaries I've had since Thursday. I'm absolutely shitting it for my day's work on Monday. But yeah, no, it is exciting. It's a new place. It's an opportunity to meet new people, and again, get back flying and still working on my business on the side, which is fantastic, and it's great to have the opportunity to do that. So yeah, my bike is in bits in front of me.
so if you weren't going to Doha, and let's say you were going back to instead of Doha, you were going to Dublin, and you're back over in Ireland, they're leading up to the bank holiday weekend this weekend. There's two big events on in the country. You could think that more is true while you're on your 50-degree cycle next week. You have TriAthy, which you've done before, and you also have the Cork City Marathon you've done before. Which one would you be at? Are you firmly now into that triathlon season and stuff like that? And talk a little bit about both in case people are listening to the podcast ready for one of those events come this upcoming weekend.
If I can be bought and sold, Sean. So if Shane was going to look after us again, I'd be in Cork. I'd be in the Dean Hotel in Cork having a great time. No, it's two very different occasions. So obviously a summer marathon, 1st of June. The last time it was warm before it's been raining, and Cork, great city for a night out. Like it's two different perspectives, and they also offered a half marathon, which is
Mm.
probably something if I would consider if I was building towards a Dublin rather than taking on the full marathon. Take on a half and have a great weekend in Cork is one thing I'd be looking at.
You
Um,
just made the big Cork event all about a building block to Dublin. The Corkonians are going to love you for that one. Absolutely. I can hear the rage.
Yeah, I know, but then they're all the ones that were saying, "I was too hot this year. I didn't get me PB, so maybe I'll try again in Dublin." We've had Cork people say that, so look, it's just
True.
it's just the way it is. So, but yeah, no, it's Cork was good. I really enjoyed Cork in general. There was a few. I hope they listened, and if they are tuning into the podcast, the water situation sorted. But yeah, and I hope to God they don't use the wooden medal again. But yeah, Cork hopefully will be a great marathon. TriAthy is a great one. What a lot of people see is, apart from the duathlons, is the start of the triathlon season. It's one of those that a lot of people who get into the world of triathlon, they use the try a try in a tie as their start. it was my very first triathlon, so I always think it's a very special one to do. And it really does set the tone for your summer. If you're fit enough to take on the Olympic in a tie, you're hopefully, and they do a double Olympic as well. Like it's just a great event. I really like it. It's a very simple course. It's good.
For those doing triathlon, and for a lot of people, maybe their first time doing a triathlon like it was for you, talk us a little bit about the swim. How does that start again into the river? How comfortable are you being someone that's talked before on the podcast about not being a natural sea swimmer or natural and open water? I should probably say. How was that start for you?
The best bit about a tie is you're never more than 2 meters away from the bank.
Right.
So if the open water or being far away from shore is part of the heepy-jeepy factor, which is big for me, like you're in the lake and like you're 200 meters away from the shoreline, or you're half a kilometer away from the shoreline in some cases, or a kilometer away, whatever way it works. But the beauty about it, Ty, there's a rope and stuff in the middle, like kind of like a swimming lane. You can grab onto a buoy, you can swim to the side. You're never far away from safety, which is fantastic. It's fantastic from an organizational perspective because the whole canoe element, and there is people in canoes and key points in the water, but you can have more safety on the line throwing buoy. It's much more reassuring. And then mentally, you swim against the current, and then once you turn around, if you lie on your back, you're gonna cross that line. Because once you have the current behind you, you do make up a bit of ground, you do move towards it. And that's why I think for the guys who do the try, I'm pretty certain it's all downstream.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you start kind of just upstream of the finish or the transition, and it's pretty much all downstream. So if you are doing your first one, in terms of confidence, just float, just let the wetsuit do the work, and you'll get out of the water and just keep telling yourself that if swimming is the bit that is scaring you, that if I breaststroke, if I backstroke, if I doggy paddle for a couple of 100 meters with the flow of the current, I'm getting out of the water. So, but it is good, but it can be busy, but it's a rolling start. If I remember correctly, I haven't done it in a while, but yeah, it's a rolling start. So it's naturally kind of staggered. If you're like me, let the crazies go ahead of you and then just slip in because it's chip time. So yeah, let the crazies go ahead of you. Let them race each other. They're all trying to sit in each other's heels so they break the water and tactics. And for me, no, I'm like a barge on the canal, just out for the day. But yeah, no, it is a great race and it is good fun, and the town is well set up for it as well. It can be busy getting in and out, but there's everything you need there, and as well, and a good night out can be had afterwards. And yeah, no, it's a really excellent one, and it's something that I will always remember because I ended up doing 4 Olympics in 4 weeks after that. Because I just loved it so much, that's when the triathlon buzz really kicked in. So yeah, if you're afraid of it, good. It's good to be scared of something. Then you've chose a good challenge, and yeah, TriAthy is a special place, and they do well on the gear unless they're going to let me down. Like I remember, I still have my race belts from TriAthy. I got a great medal from TriAthy. All the little gizmos and gadgets were actually excellent out of TriAthy. So yeah, a really, really good race and one that's welcome for all. And that's the best thing about it.
Just be careful with your bank balance after, because not only do those 4 races, you start buying new bikes and new watches and everything afterwards. And that one, you really got into it. Real quick on those two, the TriAthy, the bike and the run afterwards, hilly, not hilly, how are they?
They're okay.
Okay.
Like they are like they're not the worst. They're like if you're going for the likes of Blessington says it's a flat marathon, it's not a flat or a triathlon. It's not a flat triathlon. Like there's a little bit of uphill. If it's blowing a wind, you can be into a headwind for a little bit. But if it's a nice enough day, there's a couple of little climbs. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's relatively okay. They're long drags. They're not hills. The run itself is a 2-loop for the Olympic. And again, bar just coming out of town, a couple of little drags up, but for the most part, relatively flat. Relatively flat. And it's just really enjoyable and a great crowd because there's so many people doing it. There's a great crowd, really, really enjoyable. And yeah, it is special. It's one that I think this year, if I was at home, I probably would have went back more into the triathlon side than the marathon, I think. I gave the marathon a go because well, stupid. I was doing Ironman. I chose the marathon, but I think I would have. Cork just was appealing to me last year, but I think when I do come back, I think it'll probably be triathlon again.
Just quickly on Cork, I know we'll hit the link in the show notes and how you got on that last year, because we recorded that straight afterwards in the Dean Hotel and how you got on. But two quick things. One, people doing Cork for the first time, I've been telling them it's not as hilly as you think compared to how hilly Cork is. And two, talk to us about the long straight right before the finish line.
Yeah, as far as I can remember, there's only really two hills. I suppose one around 30k climbing in through. I just remember, but then again, I was really tired at that point, so maybe it wasn't a big hill. But it was under the tunnel. When you're climbing out of the tunnel, that's a long drag of a hill, but it's not a big hill. It's just a long drag. But mentally, you've just ran down half of it as well. So, you know, you speed up a little bit and slow down on the other side, and it tends to be okay. But no, there was just a couple of little climbs and risers, I'd call it, more so than hills. But yeah, really, really nice in terms of flat. Like, yeah, absolutely. And then that last section, I suppose, if whether you're in a good place or a bad place, you just turn on to the straightest road ever built in Ireland, and it just goes on and on and on. But there is one motivating factor. Now, I didn't care. I had no shame at this stage. I had gotten sick and the whole lot, but I was like, oh, this is bad. But there is some cars kind of stacked up in traffic trying to make their way down to get across. And you know, when you have that, I can't walk, they're looking at me. So there is a little bit of that as well as you get closer to the town. And then the false horizon, I suppose, as you come through the park, you come out the other side, you think, this is it, I'm home, and you're on the streets by the river, all that, and then it's you've still got about 2k to go at that point, or a k and a half, 2k to go. So that caught a lot of people out last year when they come out the other side of that, and they think they're on the run to the finish line, but they still have a bit to go. So it is a long road, though, a very, very long road. You just have to look at the watch and then not look at it again until, I don't know, you count 5 red cars or just anything and everything just to distract yourself.
I know a few people doing the half, and I may have told them once you get your long straight, you have a little park, and then it's done, it's over. So I hope I get to see them before the race. Otherwise, they're going to be like, you told me it was over, another 2k to go. But moving swiftly on, this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast, and we've got a really good guest on this one, someone who is very familiar with Cork. She was down there last year doing the Cork IronMan, and she won the damn thing. So she's definitely very familiar with it. This week, we have Chrissy Harford on the podcast.
Yeah, this one's a good, and for all the same reasons, kind of a good tone, like from beginner to a lot of success in the sport from a fantastic athlete who has been a fantastic athlete. And those who are tuning in from Cork thinking it's going to be a Cork great episode are in for a treat with this one. It's definitely not Cork friendly, but no, it's a testament to what people can do when they put their minds to it and try a new sport and be honest about not being good at it at the start. And that's what it's all about. And being really, really bad and what dedication and consistency will do in improving it. And to see how quickly people can improve is absolutely amazing. And this is an episode I suppose, that's testament to that fact.
And with that said, it's this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast. Let's go. So this week on the Any Given Runday Podcast, we have strength and endurance coach and triathlon coach, and someone who's competed in not only multiple Ironman events, but also won the Ironman Cork in 2023. Chrissy Harford, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. How are you getting on?
Oh, good. Thanks for having us on.
Chrissy, when I hear that someone's won an Ironman, I think they must have been like just thrown into a lake at age 5 and was straight into swimming, onto cycling, and just did that for years and years and years. But you won that event in 2023, and for some reason in July of 2021 is when you decided to ring up Ger Redmond or apply on his website to start triathlon training that led in that 2-year journey towards that. Why Ger and why triathlon training?
Oh, like it was never the goal. I just want to learn how to swim.
And there's Sean 6 years later. He still wears armbands every day. He's going for a shower. Never mind the swim.
I won't get into an ice bath. Not happening. I'll drown.
that is how it started. It's like I was obviously lockdown happened and I started dipping as I blew up the dipping, didn't it? In lockdown, and mental health was bad, and I started dipping, and I nearly drowned one time in the sea. So I was with a friend. We were out in Portrane. I said I'm going to swim out to the bay. I'm back, and like I was never afraid of like jumping deep water or anything like that, you know. Once I could like get back to where I was, but I thought, no fair, I thought I could swim. But then like we swam out to the bay, and coming back, it was very choppy and I couldn't get in. Well, I did get in, but like she like was a strong swimmer. She goes, "Don't worry, I've lifeguard experience. I can save you." And I got a fright of my life then. I was like, fuck, I better learn how to swim if I'm going to keep this dipping going, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I actually put up my Instagram, and my physio at the time, he sent me Jerry Redden's post up. He's had swim lessons in Clark Bats. So that's when I messaged him. I told you, I just want to learn how to swim. And yeah, I got messaged him and got in and started learning how to swim with Clark Bats with the wetsuits and all. But and then obviously he has his triathlon group, and yeah, I just clicked with everyone there. I got on with everyone there, and then Jay had a race a couple of weeks later, and they were all at me saying, "Why don't you do the race?" I was like, I don't even have a fucking bike, like. So yeah, and then I just like, fuck it, will I? And I just said, sorry, I said, yeah. I talked to Jerry. Jerry wasn't even my coach then. I was just like still learning to swim. And then I was like, oh, I want to do a triathlon. And he goes, well, I have this race in like 7 weeks. And I was like, do you think I'm going to be able to do it? Like, I'm not even running. I don't have a bike. He goes, but are you getting a bike? I was like, I suppose so.
Before you knew it, you had wetsuits, you had bikes, you had absolutely everything going. It's an expensive start.
Oh, like, do you know what was so funny? When I arrived there as well, I had one of them wetsuits that like for surfing. Sure, I didn't even know there was different ones, like, do you know what I mean?
And it says SeaWorld across the front.
Learned to swim, I was fucking sinking, I was.
Had you done many like runs or even like, had you done any cycle events up to now? Because I know you're playing GA like up to around at this point. So had you done running, cycling, stuff like that? Or did you literally just sign straight up into a triathlon and go, may as well get experience in all three at the same time?
Exactly. No, that's exactly how it went. I did obviously running in GEA, but it's like nothing endurance. I'm a personal trainer. I do fitness classes. Spinning's the only time I get on the bike. And then yeah, so no experience of any of the three.
What was it like getting to the start line? Because a lot of people who are listening to this, Chrissy, are like yourself. They're afraid of starting a triathlon. And this is why this is brilliant, because your career is very short and you've been very successful in it. What was it like for you going down there? Okay, you're brave. You're not afraid of the open water because you tried to swim to America. And the other one is like in terms of getting to the start line, what nerves did you have about it? Can you remember what it was like, or were you?
Oh, the first time, because I only had like 7 weeks training, I was absolutely shitting myself.
And did you think you could do it? Did you know you could do it?
Oh no, honestly, I didn't know if I could do it or not. I didn't know if I could do the water, the swimming scared. Like I didn't know you breathe through the water. Like I had to learn all this. Like that was all completely new to me. Like, do you know what I mean? So even learning that in itself, like it was challenging. And it's just like, we're lucky enough that day. It was Jerry Redden's his own event. Lucky enough that day that like it was in Low Rock and it was just completely flat and there was no waves or anything. So yeah, but I think I was nearly the fucking one of the last to get out of the water, like, you know.
And was they got a big running start into the lake? Was a lot of you there to start? Like, how nervous were you?
I think there's about 50 of us all went together, yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, like, so, like, do you know what I mean? No experience at all, like, so it was scary. And I panicked, and I did panic a bit, but I was like, just get through it, like, just get through it. Like, do you know what? The first thing, someone turned around to me and says, your swimming's on your warm-up, right? That stuck with me, and it still sticks with me now. Your swimming's on your warm-up. So I think I just kept saying that this is your warm-up. Your race starts when you get off, you know what I mean? I think that's what got me through it. But I ended up coming the first woman to cross the line. Anyway, then you end up.
So obviously, obviously you have a bit of fitness from the GAA in terms of the cycling and the running. Obviously, endurance is something you had to build for the longer races.
Yeah.
And it is something that a lot of people think when they have a little bit of a fear of the swim part. And anytime we say to someone, are you thinking of doing a triathlon? They're like, I can't swim, or I don't like the water and stuff. There's even people out there who have done their first triathlon doing the breaststroke or backstroke or any kind of stroke, or if it was Sean just having a stroke, but they give it a go, and when they get out of the water, the relief, everything, they just enjoy the rest of the day, because the race for a lot of people is surviving that first bit, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely is. But I think you just need to put a lot of work in it to get confident in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say I'm a bad swimmer now. I was a shit swimmer 2 years ago, but like, I put a lot of practice in it, and I put a lot of focus in. I don't like being shit at any kind of sport.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, you can't be shit. You have to be half decent at least.
Did Jer Redmond give you any encouragement on his running on that note? On your running?
When I was doing that race?
No, just in general. According to your Instagram post, he said you were motivated by, he told you what kind of runner you were at one stage. Seemed he said you were a shit runner and you weren't happy with it.
He did say that to me.
It mustn't affect you that much since you forgot about it.
Like, I can remember where was I? Yeah, I don't know. I was in Barcelona actually. I was supporting the crew, right? I went over to Barcelona. They were all doing the Ironmans. Me and my friend Sophie went over. And I think my runner was just gone shit or something. I don't know. And he said, "You're a shit runner." I was like, who's he calling a fucking shit runner?
So you went over in...
He knew exactly what to say to me to kind of get me motivated and get me going, kick up the whole age, you know what I mean? It's like, no one's going to call me a shit runner.
Suppose a sign of a good coach, different way to motivate other people. He told me that, I would be like, oh, I would have went home. But it motivated you to go.
People could take that either. But like, I know if he said that to someone else, like, they'd probably like, fuck him. I'm not sure, like, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have took that well. And I've said that to other people, like, no, I would have like told him to fuck off. He wouldn't be my coach. Yeah. But I'm like, I prove you wrong.
So you went over in 2021 then to crew them for Barcelona Ironman, was it?
Yeah, the 21 after, geez, what year? Yeah, I went over to supporting them, yeah.
And is that when you got the bug? Did you leave Barcelona time going, this time next year, I'm going to be in this race, that's going to be my first Ironman?
Yes, yeah. Oh, it was just like, I just loved it. Kind of, it was deadly. Like, just the stage in Barcelona when you come in is incredible. Like, so I went over to see what it was like, but I couldn't get over the distance with an Ironman when I started learning all this. I was like, that's insane. Like, how's people do that? Like, you know?
It's one thing when you say it, like, I've done an Ironman and people go, yeah, very good. How far is that? And you say the numbers, it's a 3.8k swim, 180k cycle, and it's a marathon finish. And they're like, oh yeah, very good, yeah. But like, when you say, like, you have to swim across Dublin Bay, then cycle to Galway, and then run halfway to Ennis, people start to go, well, geez, that's a long old, like, it's mad until you see the course and see the distances. Like, when you're standing, Sean's seen it in Portugal with me when he came out to support. When you're standing at the start of the swim and you look and you're squinting, definitely Sean squinting to see the boy in the distance, and he's like, that's a long way. And it is something that Ironman are very good at, is that show that you're talking about. And it's no doubt, it's like being at the finish line to a marathon. Everyone who stands at the finish line to a marathon says, I want to do a marathon. And then it's the realization of, right, what's actually involved in this. So from that point, what was involved for you? What was the next steps for you to get from the finish line there as a support crew to an Iron Woman?
So the one then a year later in 2022 was when I was flying over to Barcelona. Yeah, I was just with Jer, and I just done his program, and yeah, like that race here, because like 2021 was I had my first race, and then when 2022 is like, this is when I start properly racing and training and stuff like that. So I just went race happy that year. I just wanted to do everything. I was like, I do this, I do that, I do that. 24-hour cycling there. It's like I wanted to do everything. So I just raced away. But you know what? I burned out. I did burn out, like, because I was working a lot. I was doing a lot of split shifts. I'm a mother, and it was just insane to try and do all that training. And the way my lifestyle was at that time, it was hard. I burned out.
You
And
were
Yeah.
racing so much that 1 week, I think I had this right. You did the Mondello 24 solo cycle, which is insane. Like I'm doing it as a part of 4 people next month, and I'm still like, oh, don't know if I'm ready for this. And like to do that insane throughout the night and trying to feel yourself going through that is insane. But then the following week, you podium. I think you podium in position doing a duathlon or a triathlon. The very next week or a week after. I'm like, hang on, that can't be right. She'd surely need a month off after Mondello to the cycle
No.
that hard, but like it's insane the amount of stuff you did that year because I just keep seeing duathlon podium. Like, was her races your training? So like, how did you use those races as benchmarks for the Ironman, or were you just like, I'm going flat out in each and every race just to get the best position or best result I am and see where I'm at?
I was just going flat out. Like I was just racing. I was just like, I just had the bug. I just wanted to go. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like training for it. Wasn't. I didn't feel like I was training for Barcelona. I just felt like I had the bug for racing. I got
You're
my
enjoying
bug
it.
and I was enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? So I got the buzz off it, and that was it. But yeah, as I said, I was doing all that racing then. I think it was in July. I burnt out. Like I got so fatigued. I couldn't even remember clients' names. It was like it all catched up in the end, you know.
do you reckon that was because you came from highly competitive team sports, and now it was, and you'd have a match most Sundays, or or a training match that you're always in that competitive edge, when you look at high performance teams, they always try and put them in high performing situations or as match real situations. Do you think you carried that into triathlon and then learned a hard lesson about endurance?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you have to be smarter. You can't go fucking balls to leather every time, like, do you know what I mean? No, it'll catch up, and I learned the hard way.
And since then, what's been your approach? So obviously you burnt out. What did that do for your training then? Did you pull back on it? Did you fall out of love with it a little bit? Or was
Yeah,
it
like
trying to be
I be honest
realistic?
with you, I was struggling. Jair's training is tough going, like, do you know what I mean? It's like the training is tough. For me, for my lifestyle, it was hard because you're going hard all the time. And there's so much my body could take. I go hard all the time. And then I was doing so many classes in work. I was just hitting the wall. So yeah, it was like the training wasn't like suiting me, should I say? Like, do you know what I mean? It just wasn't suiting me and my lifestyle. It was just too much, and I wasn't loving the training. I was loving the racing, but I wasn't loving the training. I wasn't loving the process going up to it. Like,
Well,
so I didn't feel prepared for my first Ironman. 100%.
did you find that because you're working in the gym, you're training clients, you're coaching clients, and then you got to fit in a swim, cycles, you got to fit in runs. Is there a part of you, because I know I struggle with this, that and I'm only doing running. It's like, how do I fit in my strength training sessions and kind of lead by example that way? Because I'm assuming most of your clients, a lot of your clients, I've obviously face to face or in the gym. Do you feel like you have to keep up the gym work? And obviously, gym work helps with triathlons, but it's like,
Yeah.
I want to show I'm getting stronger here and doing this, but at the same time, it could be to my detriment because I need more hours in the pool or more hours cycling. Like to juggle all that, and then you're training, you're coaching or training late at night, early mornings, and your weekends as well. Your weekends coaching and your weekends also training. Like and you said your mother as well, trying to fit all that in, and specifically strength training. Just because I'm more curious on my end, how did you find getting that in for your Ironman training?
I didn't.
That's fair. I'm the same now in my running. I mean, if I get one full session in a week, I'm happy, and most weeks I'm not, unfortunately. But it's hard to get everything in.
My clients like me. Like, if I get one done, they're like, Chrissy's doing strength training again. I work at the fucking gym and I can't even get this straight. Because obviously I'm thinking, I need to go and do my run. I need to go do my swim. I've only so much time. No, I should, and I do promote it so much to do strength training. And I think the only way I've been getting away with injuries and so much is because I've done strength training for so many years.
You built it up, right?
I built it up, and I think that's the reason why I've lucky enough prevented injuries and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why I don't do strength training. I've done enough.
I've peaked. I passed out that class.
But no, it's hard. It's hard. Like I'm like at the start of this year, I even tried, you know what I mean? Getting 30 minutes in even 40 minutes, like, and I started, but I just kept getting sick this year and just, yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get, but before I get into Barcelona, I'm probably jumping a little bit ahead of myself. The Wicklow 200, was that last year, this year, or 2022 as well?
That was last year.
Oh, that's all right. So I'm just checking you didn't do Mondello and the Wicklow 200 there, because to quote what you said about Wicklow, fuck Wicklow.
I don't like it.
What the Wicklow 200, and I was only looking at this recently, is like supposed to be one of the hardest cycles in the country, like, because obviously to race the hills and like, even I got an email on it. I was like, it's 7 or 8 weeks from now, from the time of recording this, so I think it must be the end of June maybe. And they were like, don't sign up for the 200 if you haven't done much cycling by now. Maybe the 100. Do not do 200. You won't survive. I'm like, so much for promoting this race, like, and that's their own email that said that to me. So
I never seen that. That's mad.
Yeah, I only got there recently. It was like, just don't do 200. Like, you haven't got the time to build anywhere towards it. Just do the 100. And they say, how hard did you find Wicklow 200?
Oh my God, I'd rather do 24-hour. 100%.
Wow.
I'm not even joking with you. Like, that broke me.
You're the reason they don't let anyone else do it now.
Broke Wicklow. That broke. I was like, give me the 24-hour any day. Like, do you know what I mean? That's tough going, that 200.
How do you feel for those races? For 200 or the 24-hour Mondello?
Oh, the 24-hour, how do you feel? Like, there's only so much your body can take. I find, anyway, like, I'm not used to all that. Like, I was only cycling, 8 months before I done that. So, like, I'm not used to, like, training myself to eat. Especially that year in 2022, I didn't train, like, in fueling. Do you know what I mean? I didn't do that in my training sessions. So even then, I knew I had to fuel. But I think after 12 hours, my body just, like, yeah, no more. I couldn't take any more in. But now I think, because I've trained myself a lot now, the fuel and stuff like that, I think I could be better now. Definitely. I think my body will be more used to it. I don't know. Have to do it again to let you know about that.
Sounds like talk about new goals already.
Well, I am doing it again this year. But I'm doing it with a team. I'm doing it with a team.
Ah,
I wanted to go for the 24-hour again, but I was like, no, it's going to affect me race season. So try to be smarter, you know.
Speaking from experience, you are now.
So events like the Wicklow 200, obviously we have to keep reminding everyone, you're only doing this a year by the time you get to this, or 8 months by the time you're taking on the Wicklow 800. You're then going to Barcelona for your first Ironman then. So you've burnt out, hopefully somewhat recovered, and got yourself to the start line. What was it like showing up to your first Ironman?
Oh, it was emotional. It was definitely emotional, because I don't know, have you ever been over to Barcelona? Have you done it?
Not the Ironman, no.
Yeah, like, it is very emotional. And then, yeah, no, the start line, because your man's there talking, saying, this is your chance. This is like, yeah, got here to the starting line. And I was standing there by myself, like, waiting in the water. Like, I was shitting now for the water, to be honest with you. I was, like, absolutely breaking it. But it was very emotional at the start. Yeah, it was very emotional, because I think
I had the same in Portugal. And Sean, I think, was even nearly crying in Portugal when your man has the Hans Zimmer playing.
I wanted to jump in.
He's telling you about your family and all this, and on your Mahana means family and all. It was like watching Lilo and Stitch and going into the water in tears. And I was just like, and then it kicks into, I don't know, Guns N' Roses or something kicked in. Then I was like, oh! And how was that then when you get into the water? Did you settle into it?
No, I was panicking, I think, a bit, but I did settle. But because I wasn't a great swimmer then, my right shoulder, I think it could have been my right shoulder, just went halfway through it. I was like, oh fuck, this is, my shoulder's gone, like, you know. But just pain. I never got it before. It's like, fuck's sake. But I got through it anyway. I think the sea conditions at that time wasn't too bad either, so we were quite lucky. I think it come down. That year, when we done it, we came with the tide for the long bit. I know, like, last year they made it actually the other way, but when I done it, we came with the tide for the long bit. So that definitely helped, like, 100%. But yeah, when I got out of the water, I was like, fucking survived, thank God, like, you know.
And was it the case like your first triathlon where you felt like, okay, I'm warmed up, it's time to catch up now when you hopped onto the bike?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like that's what I kept saying to me in the water. This is your warm up, this is your warm up. I'm telling you that's all I say now when I get in the water. Even though I'm actually much better swimmer now. Do I say that now? I don't think I just say that anymore, like, you know, because I'm more confident now in the water. But at that time I was like, this is your warm up, this is your warm up, just keep swimming, just keep going. And then it's like, right, out of the water, race starts now.
And was Barcelona hilly, the cycle?
It's not flat. Like
It's not Wicklow.
It's not Wicklow.
It's not Wicklow, so fuck that. Now the lads right here is killing me with the hills as well.
And
But
how
no,
do you find it? What's your strategy then getting onto the bike? Obviously, your first Ironman. I've had this dilemma as well of what the plan was, and I stuck to the numbers in terms of watts and power and heart rate because I'd never done anything this long before. Obviously, you'd done a Wicklow 200 at 24-hour. You'd done long endurance. What was your plan for the bike?
I didn't really have a plan. I had no, like, I didn't have any watts on my bike because I'm a complete newbie. The heart rate, there was no really plan. It was just go.
Oh, God.
Was there a goal?
No, not really for my first one. No, I don't think there ever is with Jer for your first Ironman. It's just like, just get through,
see
just
what
get
happens.
across the line, see what happens, basically. Yeah, and just that's the way it was. Fuel on the bike, because I never practiced it in training. It catched up with me on the run. Yeah. So but then my knee went down on the bike. But lucky I brought painkillers because that's the thing, Jerry, always bring painkillers. So do you know, so we're just thought, yep, get the painkillers in, fuck the field.
It is some distance, and I think if anyone ever does an Ironman, like there's always a niggle that shows up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's like I've never felt this before. It's always something that you're like, this is a strange feeling. My knee hasn't hurt in this way ever before. And it's something that you don't really figure out until you do the full event. And like that, probably come the run, did it subside a little bit, or were you carrying it into the run?
No, I got sick, I say 6 to 7K in. Nutrition went everywhere.
Oh,
got sick. Now, fair play to Jer. He actually ran by me and he could see, I think his back went or something. He was doing that race and he stayed with me and he ran with me a bit and I was just puking everywhere. Yeah, I was like, all my nutrition was gone. I was like, but Jer ran with me for about 5 kilometers then. And I got do you know what saved me in that course in the run? It was the oranges that I got.
Yes.
Yeah, they saved me. I just every station just got the oranges in. And then do you know what? 10 kilometers after 10 kilometers, I think came around. I was actually liking the run. I was like, I'm enjoying this now, getting back to myself, and it's great. And I think on the third lap of that race, I was like, I'm going to do Ironman Cork next year.
I was selling my bike on the third lap.
I was with him. I could verify that.
Oh, stop.
I thought I was getting the same bike for dirt cheap off him. I was like, I'll give him 100 quid. I reckon he'd sell it to me there and then.
But the race is that long. Like when you're looking at an Ironman, like standing on that beach, going back to the beach, you're thinking, I'm going to be out here for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that's a long time. And then when you're coming on that run, like you said, particularly lap runs, my one in Portugal was 3 laps as well. It was like watching Forrest Gump. It had every emotion. It had every scene you could imagine. We had thunder and lightning. We'd rain. We'd sun. We'd people crying. We'd people collapsing. Like, it's crazy the emotion you feel across the 3 laps, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You go through the emotions, all right. Yeah. And then your legs just gave out. My legs gave out me then the last probably 7 kilometers in. I was like, right, geez, we're nearly there. You can't fucking give up now.
And what was it like to get to that finish line and hear those famous words?
Oh, it was great. It was great. It's like, geez, I actually done it. Because remember a year before that, they're hearing about that distance, that's impossible. How could I even do that? But walked and ran that time. Do you know what I mean? I walked and ran, and that's how you just got through that one.
Not only did you do it, you did it in 11 hours and 52 minutes, a sub 12-hour Ironman for your first.
I was delighted with that. I didn't even know till I crossed the line. I was like, oh, I'm sub 12.
Like phenomenal stuff. I think I don't have it in
You
front of me, but I think I read
disgust
like
me,
your top
Chrissy.
10.
Say that again, sorry.
Were you top
You
10 or
disgust
something?
me. Were you top 10?
Was it top 10? Yeah, it was.
Uh,
It would have been, yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Like,
my God. Stop the
absolutely
recording, Sean.
phenomenal. Let's jump forward this Cork one. So Cork, couple of months later, you're training, you're fueling. You know, what were the big changes in your training and your thoughts about fueling and making sure the shoulder isn't as bad in the swim, or the knee isn't as bad in the bike, and you're not puking up everywhere in the run. Like, what did you do different between the Barcelona one and the Cork one in 2023?
So after Barcelona, I think I knew JR's training wasn't working for me personally. So I decided to get another coach that has a different approach to training. So that I thought it would just suit me better because it was more heart rate controlled. I wasn't going to get fatigued so much. So I decided to get a new coach that year, and I talked to him and he told me about his training and what way it's going to be. It's going to be 80% easy, 20% hard. I was like, okay, I think this is actually going to work for me, So yeah, a lot of that was just heart rate training. Again, it just worked out for me for well. It wasn't burning out, it wasn't hitting the wall. Majority it was easy with the training wise. And then that my coach Joe, he's like, you have to train nutrition, like in training as well. So he really bet that into me. Are you training nutrition? So I had to keep training with nutrition while I was training. So that obviously really helped. But Jesus, like, it wasn't going well for me. The nutrition part of it last year was the hardest of my training.
And is it just gels? Is it the hard food, or is it just all of it in general?
I
Is it
found that
taking it
hard.
for fluids?
Yeah, I find that hard to eat on the bike. So I had to really kind of train myself. And I was like, I can't eat on the bike. It's just so hard. And then I done a 7.3 it was Metal Man. And then so that was my only 7.3 before Cork. And I was like, right, this is the time I'm going to practice my nutrition. There's a half, and then 700s and run again, puked up everything. So it's like, oh my God, I think I'm 8 weeks out now from Cork and I still cannot get my nutrition right.
Even though your nutrition isn't right, and I don't even know, like, is it because you're 7 kilometers in, you're getting sick, and obviously someone hears that going, oh my God, you must be really nervous and stuff for Cork. But at the same time, you finished second. Is there a confidence boost and that stuff to take it over going towards Cork? And are you thinking more about times and stuff then you're going to go for Cork? Like, are you getting confident in everything except nutrition, or how are you feeling after that?
No, that was the big, that was a knock. That was a knock.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I knew I had to do double this and I cannot get my nutrition right. It's just, you need your nutrition right for an Ironman or your running is going to be fucked. Your bike, what I mean? The whole race is going to be fucked if you don't get your nutrition right. And that happened in that 7.3. I'm like, for fuck's sake, it's like, this is not going well. Do you know what I mean? Why can I not get this right? But nutrition, see, the thing is, when nutrition was fine with me, once it's easy, but once the intensity goes up,
it's hard to keep it down.
It's hard to keep it down. So I actually trained myself. So I think it was Morton's then I end up trying and just taking a little bit each time. And I used the Morton's carb drinks as well. And that seemed to work out for Cork. That actually did work out for Cork. I was fine.
They're
so
the ones I used as well. It's like having a buffet. It's like drinking glue. But it is that you can keep sipping on them. And it's one I just found balanced me as well. Not that we're advertising more and give us €1 million or come onto the podcast, but it's one that people don't realize. What one gel or one banana or whatever it is not necessarily going to work for you if it works for me or if it works for Chrissy or works for John. And it does. And this is why, whether it's a marathon or anything, people are like, oh, have you tried running with your nutrition? And they're like, why? It's like, so you don't shit yourself halfway around the course or figure out if something doesn't work right with you. And is that now the confidence boost that you have now found the method? Are we going to see, before we talk about Cork, are we going to see more confidence from you in terms of your racing?
By this year, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I'm going shorter distance this year. So this is all new. So because I went into the big, so I just jumped into the big endurance, and this year I just kind of switched it up and go for short ones this year.
And what would be, so right, before we get into that, Cork.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Cork.
Cork, it was, as you know, like everyone knows what an Ironman is in Ireland right now, like, you know. Yeah, it was just the weekend was a bit chaotic, you know, because no one knew what was going to happen. No one knew what was happening. We didn't know we were going to race. We didn't know what day was on. It was just a bit mad what was going on. But I felt fully confident with my training. I knew I put in so much work. I felt good going into Cork, definitely. But so I wanted the big swim. Like I was so much confident swimmer. And then obviously the swim was just chaotic. It was just mad. I never forget, like I remember just standing in line and I was just looking and I was like, Jesus, this is mad. And when I got into water, I was like, it was just, you're just panicked. No matter how you're a confident swimmer or not, it was just panic in the water. And you're just like, fuck, get me through this. And like, like, and like, I swear to God, I think my average heart rate in that water was like 170. Never like that before. And like, I was cut. I think I'd done 1,500 meters. I think it was cut there or something.
Yeah.
In the end, but like, because everywhere you looked, there was just people panicking everywhere. Like, you know, it was just like, get me out here. And when I got out, and like, the 7.3s went before us, the people that lost their lives then was like right there, and you had to go buy him. But I didn't know at that time that he actually lost his life. So you just look, you know, you getting out of the water was just all mad. It's like, what the fuck is that after happening? Then you see that and you're like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? It's just like, it was like, this is not real in a way, you know, because it's just mad. Then the bike, yeah, thank God the 7.3s were fucking on the same day as us, because it was so windy that like the first loop in that course was great. And it was like, this is grand, because you're getting blocked, and trying to conserve energy. That was all in my head. My coach was like, conserve energy, just keep it, do you know what I mean? Don't burn yourself in the bike, keep it steady, whatever. And then it was easy to do that in the first lap. Do you know, you can, there's loads of people on the course, 7.3s, you're drafted and stuff like that. But the second lap, it was, I wanted to fuck that bike in a ditch. I was like, it was so hard. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Like it was so hard. The second leap was so hard because there's no one on the course. There's literally, I think there's only end up doing it, probably 700 people in Cork, I think, for the full Ironman.
And over 90 kilometers, that's a lot of space.
That's a lot. Like you barely seen anyone. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, there was no block. So you're like, I don't know what the winds were. I know 30 kilometers of that was going headwind after the Windmill Hill. It was straight into headwind and it was 30 kilometers into it. And then that's kind of mainly all the flat bit, but then you get into the fucking hilly bit. So it was just, I couldn't wait to get off the bike. But the run, the nutrition, then obviously I didn't know if everything was going good. I tried to be more aware of what I'm eating, what I'm taking and stuff like that. And the run just went so well. The run I loved. It was just brilliant. Going through the town, and then everyone that's on the 7.3, I knew loads of people down there. They were just like, I used to run through the town, and they were all just cheering and everything. It was a highlight. It was definitely the highlight. And my run was just going, I was running, right? And I was like, am I going too fast? And I was like, am I running too fast? Because I feel good. Do you know what I mean? Because I was afraid I was just going to hit a wall. Because the last Ironman, I walked and run, but I wasn't planning to do this for this one. I was planning to run the whole lot and not stop. That was my game plan. I was like, once I don't stop, I don't care. I want to keep running. So when I was running, I was like, I don't know, am I going to hit a wall at 21 kilometers? Is this too fast? All this playing in my head. But it just went really well for me. Just went really well. Yeah.
And did it feel like it was better because you hit 7 kilometers and didn't vomit all over the course, and then that just kept going?
Yeah, I didn't feel any sickness before that, because every time I got off the bike before that, or even before I got off the bike, I felt sickness. I didn't feel it this time. I felt actually good. I don't know if it's just delight to get off that bike that time. The first few kilometers in, thank God. But no, I was just feeling good. You know what? And I look back now, I definitely could have ran it faster, but I was in hotel, and it was just experience. The run was just experience. It was just great. But it was like, because I did not, the way they deal with the Cork down there, the atmosphere in Cork is just amazing. You won't get that anywhere else. I'm telling you now, you will not get that anywhere else. It was just unreal.
When you got to the finish line, though, you tested the Cork atmosphere and the Cork people more specifically. So when Eric got through the finish line and he had the Irish flag, and he was in Portugal, and I think there's a lot of Irish there, so they're cheering for him. And, you know, instead of like taking that in and having the Irish flag at the end. You had a different flag, but you probably got away with it because you were doing an Ironman. You came to the finish line wearing a big, bright blue Dublin flag in the middle of Cork. How did that go down?
I think they slapped me at the end, all right. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Cheer
Oh,
everyone
of
to
course.
see Chrissy going through the Dublin flag. Incredible time to get to in a second, but probably saw the Dublin and one or two were like, can't believe she did that. Well, I saw him like, did I see that? Was that in Cork?
Fucking right it was.
F Wicklow, Dublin flags waving through Cork. You don't care.
But Chrissy, you did finish second in that race, and it was a phenomenally challenging race, as you said, in terms of the headwind, in terms of the swim, in terms of everything that went on that day. It was a challenging day. At what point then did you decide that's the end of the longer stuff? I want to do the shorter stuff.
The training, like this coach, like he's great and all, but the train, like, and because it's like, see with his, it's more volume.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's more low intensity with volume. But Jair's was like just high intensity and shorter, you know. So with the training leading up to that, it was just the hours killed me. Like not killed me, but they were long. They were long.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I must never forget this weekend having like a 6-hour bike, an hour and a half run off the bike, and the next day a 3-hour run. I'm like, I never want to see that weekend again.
Just to clarify that, you actually finished first in your age category with 10 hours and 36 minutes. We've had people before in this podcast that have finished and they didn't know until after they finished that they qualified for like European championships or world championships, something like that. I'm assuming finishing first with a time like that you would have been going, you would have had that opportunity maybe. Did you get that opportunity? Did you think about that?
It was Kona 6 weeks later, 8 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks
wow.
later. Yeah, like it's like, come on.
Yeah. Not for someone who does 24-hour cycles and stuff like that. That's too much.
But you know what? Like I would have done it. Like it cost us about 10 grand. I don't have that money. Like, you know what I mean? So I just wouldn't have been able to afford it in 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. If they said, now, if it was another story, if I got the ticket to Nice this year. Well, no, last year. Where are we at? This year.
So yeah, this year Nice, yeah.
So if I got the ticket to Nice, probably I'd say I would have done it. Yeah, I would have done it. I would have done it. Yeah, if I got the ticket to the championship.
Oh wow! So you have to do it within a calendar year then to get invited to the World Championships that year. Is that how it works? I have no idea how it works.
I have no idea. Like I thought I would get the Nice ticket, but now I think they're just trying to get rid of the Kona tickets because they just didn't sell enough. Maybe I'm not sure.
To your point, 10 grand to go is a lot of money on top of all the money it takes to get to a starting line of an Ironman. Like talking to Eric with the stuff he spent on his bike and wetsuits, and not just I'm assuming you had a proper wetsuit, not a surf wetsuit doing this one. So
you retired the SeaWorld suit, did you?
After nearly drowned in it, yeah.
How difficult is it to go from, because I get this question a lot when I do longer stuff and I'm like, oh, I'm doing a 5K or 10K this weekend. It's like, oh, that's nothing to you. I'm like, no. This is really hard because it's a flat out sprint and I'm not used to that. And it's so hard, completely different energy systems. So is it a lot harder for you to drop down to the short distance stuff you're talking about now? Or do you feel like that suits you better? I know with training it might, but.
So I actually done, my first sprint was last year in a tie. It was the national champs, and so I'd done that one. I don't, why did I even do that? Why did I do the sprint? I know it. It was actually the guys from actually work wanted to do a triathlon, so we managed during that. I was like, I'll do a tie because that's best for the beginners. You know what I mean? I'll do the sprint with you, and that is the only reason why I wanted to do the sprint that year. And I decided to do that like after Barcelona. So when I got my new coach, I told him, I was like, look, I am doing the sprint as I'm just doing it with work. And but they made it a national champs then. He goes, you know, that's a national champs. I was like, I didn't even really understand what national champs are actually. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, not really. Like I didn't have a clue. But so doing that sprint. So first sprint was last year, and I loved it. I was like, I really enjoyed it. I thought I would hate it, but no, I just loved it. Where my coach thinks I'm better because I come from a power athlete performance with the GEA.
Hmm.
So he just thinks I'm better actually with the shorter ones. So I said, like, we give the short ones a go this year and see how I get on.
And it's
I
one
don't
thing
like,
about the shorter ones, you'll probably notice the margin for error is a hell of a lot less.
yeah, see, like, I'm not great at the transitions, like.
The
Even
SeaWorld
last
wetsuit's
year,
just
like,
too tight on the ankles.
you can remember because
And-
when I done this sprint last year, and I put socks and all on me, and he's like, you lost about 6 places. No, after me coach up, he goes, you lost about 6 places in your transition. I was like, and I know, but it's just like, wasn't experience enough. Now I'm like hoping this year, no socks. Put some get the shoes on. Yeah, I think it's just that will be a thing, but I'm trying to get faster. That's the plan. Look, it's only my third year in the triathlon, and I'm just going to see how things go this year, and then I'll probably just decide after that what suits me best.
And it's still crazy to think it's only your third year in triathlon and you're probably going to podium on a couple of events and then decide which events do I like podium on better, the short ones or the long ones. Oh, me and Sean are not jealous at all.
No, not at all, not at all. I mean, you last week, 2 weeks ago, was it? You did the duathlon and you came first again.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant. So it sounds like this is suiting you. I mean, you came first last year in the Ironman. It's all suiting you. It's really comes down to what you enjoy, I suppose, training more
what
towards.
do I enjoy doing? Yeah, what pain do I enjoy? I don't know yet.
And we'll switch in to bring
That's
this.
just an hour of pain, and then the Ironman you kind of get to enjoy a bit, like, you know.
Do you think now that the switching of this is going to give you a little bit more of that strength training back that you enjoy and a little bit more of that other side of your life back? Is that another big pull back to the shorter side?
Yeah, see, that's what I kind of wanted. I just kind of wanted to pull back and focus on more of my career, and then and just like get me strength training, because I do miss, like, I'm doing the gym a long time. I do miss the strength training, but so I did start it off well this year, but just kept getting sick every second month. But and just kind of kept setting me back. But definitely, I just want more time doing my strength training, then see friends, I mean, just do normal stuff as well. Because I do like doing normal stuff.
We've had people on the podcast before that did Ironmans and stuff, and I'm seeing on their Instagram they're starting to transition more towards high rocks to get that balance of racing and doing cardio, but at the same time a little bit of strength stuff, the sled and stuff like that. Do you have any interest in doing something like that, or would that get you back? Yeah, have you done it?
I haven't done it, but I'm looking at off-season time, like Dublin. I'm trying to get a ticket for Dublin. Gone like that. It's in the way, like, I mean, that's a bit of me now. I definitely love that. But the strength will kill me because I'm not doing that much strength. But because we do something like that and work every November, and the buzz off it's steady, like, But I'm looking at the end of the year, all the tickets are sold out everywhere. It's just like, it's mad. It's just one of these things after blowing up, like.
For those that don't know, it's in its second year now, High Rocks out in the RDS. Last year, it took like 6 weeks to sell out because people didn't know about it. This year, like I know people in the gym as well that were online, 6 o'clock to go, and by 6:02 they were told this sold out. Like it was one of those Taylor Swift gigs or something like that. It was insane. They put on a third day, and that sold out. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the middle of November. Like we've around 20 from the gym going. And there's so many others that wanted to go that just couldn't get tickets. I'm assuming we're waiting lists and stuff like that, like close to time, you will get your chance, like on forums and stuff like that, to get in. But like it's the same time, you kind of want to be training specifically for going pushing heavy sled and then going for a run for a kilometer and stuff afterwards. It's definitely different to what you're doing in your triathlon training.
Oh, definitely. Like I knew, like October would be my last race in Portugal. I'm actually doing Portugal 7.3 in October. So the more I could push high rocks, the better. So I know Dublin's in November. I was like, look, please get about 3 weeks.
More than enough time for you.
No time, it's grand. I do that, no problem. I just have to get the strength in. The cardio's there. Just get the strength in. 3 weeks strength and I'll be flying.
Lunge walks during your transitions, Chrissy, be grand.
Yeah.
And are you hoping that, obviously you've been at competitive level in sport for a long time, are you hoping, and we asked this very blatantly, I'm just curious, are you hoping that there is something there in triathlon that you can knock on the door of the likes of Jer, who's going to be the professional triathlete. Do you hope that somewhere along those, like we've had guests on there who only started running a couple of years ago and have put on the green jersey to run for Ireland, and is there any ambition for that kind of level out of you, or are you just, let's just enjoy it and see where we go? Because you're a very competitive person, so I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, I actually haven't thought about this that much. And the reason I think is just because I'm still trying to find my feet at the minute in triathlon of what kind of distance suits me, what distance do I like doing. So I think this year it's just like, right, I do the sprint, the Olympics and 7.3s, and I'm only doing 2 7.3s, but it's more the sprint and the Olympics. And I think I'm going to make a decision then of what's happening next. I wanted to see how it got on this year. Yeah. Well, like racing for Ireland be unreal. Be deadly. Of course that'd be deadly. Yeah.
Look, she's gonna remember this now. It's like someone saying you're running shit. She's gonna go, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we don't think you can do it a year later. The green jersey's on, the way you go. Chrissy, before we wrap this up, talk to me a little bit about your you do online training as well as in-person training. So what is your I suppose your coaching philosophy and stuff to training? Like, how do you approach, do you have a specific, I know you do strength endurance coaching, for example. What exactly is that? Like what do you niche in, I suppose, for lack of a better word, or is it anything?
Yeah, like I think, as you said, a lot of people don't do strength training, but a lot of people I think get in this triathlons and haven't done any strength training at all, and they just get injured all the time. So I definitely want to promote strength training. It will prevent your injuries. It'll actually enhance your performance. So I want to like put that together into one. And it's like mainly women. I go women. I am mainly focused on women. I want to get women stronger. I want to get women faster. I want women to hit their goals. Because I just think a lot of women just kind of forget about themselves, and I want to inspire women to don't and get good at what. Jesus, what am I trying to say?
Well, to reach a potential, and for a lot of girls,
not forget about themselves, because do you know what? They forget, like, have children and they come first and stuff like that, and we put everything else before our own needs. So I kind of want to inspire women. It's like, no, don't do that. Like, because if you actually work on yourself, you actually be a better parent, you'll be a better person if you focus on your own goals as well.
And you've walked that walk, so you are the prime example of that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I started to kind of focus on myself 4 years ago when lockdown happened. And there's a huge difference in me. So I know the beneficial of it for mentally wise and physically wise, you know. I'm a better mother, I'm a better person. So putting yourself first is the main objective. And then everything else will come together. And I just want to inspire women to kind of do the same.
If people wanted to sign up to be coached by you, where do you have a website to where to go, or is Instagram the best place to go?
Instagram's the best place. I haven't yet. I know people are actually doing the website and all. It's like, no, not yet. Not saying there won't be, but Instagram for now. Yeah.
Very good. For those who will be searching this up on the show notes, my lovely secretary Sean here is going to type it into the show notes, because I do nothing on this podcast. But no, we will put all your details into the show notes. And we are excited. We feel like we're after getting onto like Bitcoin before it was famous. We're going to look back at this episode in about 3 years and see what Chrissy's after coming up with next. And we'd be like, Sean, we got in at the good time there. She's back. Episode 400. But look, we know you're away. We know you got scalded in the sun. You're currently on a bit of a training camp out in Lanzarote. We don't want to take up more of your very valuable training time. It's been so good having you this week. It is an absolute amazing story of how you've come so far in such a short distance of time. You're an amazing person as well, and inspiring ladies to get involved in sport, to try sport. And if anything else, hopefully this episode inspires people who have a little bit of fear of trying or have a little bit of fear of getting involved, to just see where it takes you and feel the fear and do it anyway, I suppose, is probably the best bet. And you could be on this podcast as the pinnacle of your... No, it won't be the pinnacle of your career.
You never know until you try, you know, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, lads, for having us on.
That's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast with myself, Chrissy, and Eric. Take care.